What's up, you fucking retards? As you can tell, I have a brand new style. And before we start this pretty autistic video, I just want to say, you niggas probably noticed I'm sweaty. And that's mainly because I'm working out. And I'm getting fucking buff. You can tell my fucking shoulders are raised. Starting to build muscle as the fat starts to melt away. I've been running, lifting weights, fucking jumping jacks, all that good shit. Working on my figure so I can lose weight and become the bitch catcher I was always meant to be. So I just want to throw that out there because I don't think it's worthy of a video on its own. But for all the, like 13 and a half people watching, I got myself a theory that I've been thinking about for the last week. And it all came together when news on Deadpool 3 first came out. Now, as you probably know, Deadpool 3 news broke recently, and it's basically writers for the movie basically said there's going to be a sort of fish out of water story for Deadpool, which I kind of suspected that, since I highly doubt Marvel would put money into something taking place in a franchise they have no interest in continuing. But hear me out. What if the franchise continues, but not in the way you think? You see, I'm probably like the 37,000th person to think of this, and there's probably multiple other videos with this exact same theory being described. But overall, I haven't seen another video with something like this being proposed. So let me put it like this. So obviously, Deadpool 3 is, like I said before, Deadpool 3 is going to be a fish out of water story. I don't know if it's going to start in the Fox X-Men universe, or if it's randomly just going to start in the MCU, with Deadpool phasing into it. But what if Deadpool coming into the Marvel Cinematic Universe is the start of something amazing? Now, as you niggas know, the multiverse is the biggest thing in the MCU right now. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, What If, Loki, and Spider-Man No Way Home are all related to the multiverse specifically. And they're obviously building up to a multiverse arc with Kang the Conqueror serving as the next Thanos of the MCU. But I'm here to ask, what if they're going to follow a similar formula to the multiverse arc in Secret Wars? I'm not that familiar with Marvel Comics, I'm more of a DC guy, but as far as I know, during the Secret Wars event, both the Ultimate Universe, which was supposed to be a rebooted version of the Marvel Universe running concurrently alongside the classic version, being characters completely new and sometimes similar origins to the previous versions, to just, give it a boost up in ratings, to give it like something new for people to latch onto. And during an event, both the Marvel Universe and Ultimate Universe were destroyed, with small fragments of them and various heroes surviving and going to basically a amalgamated combination of separate universes made by Doctor Doom called Battle World, resulting in the heroes all having to come together to fight Doctor Doom and eventually create an entirely new universe after defeating him, and an entirely new timeline with similar events from both universes, which led to Miles Morales, who originated in the Ultimate Universe, ending up in the new Marvel 616 timeline, since his universe was destroyed and he survived enough for him to come into the new universe created. Now, I'm pretty sure you can see where this is going. What if that's what's gonna happen, not in Deadpool 3, but in a future event? Now, obviously Doctor Doom hasn't been introduced yet, and Doctor Doom probably won't be introduced until like phase fucking 6 or something. What if Kang the Conqueror indirectly leads to the destruction of the current multiverse, but he manages to save various aspects and various heroes of it, but using magical abilities after the heroes successfully stop him and kill him when the new universe is created? It has elements of the X-Men and Fantastic Four in it. I mean, think about it. Deadpool 3 has no reason to exist. It's just a franchise. It's a part of a franchise that Disney has no interest in continuing. So Disney had no reason to genuinely make Deadpool 3. But what if Deadpool 3 signals the rise up of the X-Men in the MCU? Possibly the Fantastic Four as well, but I'm just going to go with the X-Men, because I think the Fantastic Four might be just revealed to have existed in the MCU the entire time. But with the X-Men, that's going to have to be a slow burn. They'd have to build up several things over time. But what if they don't have to? What if after the heroes successfully kill Kang the Conqueror, and he creates that, and the new universe is created, what if the Fox X-Men universe serves as the Ultimate Universe in that case? I mean, think about it. Why else would Deadpool 3 exist unless Deadpool being transported into the MCU signals the creation of something new entirely. What if Deadpool being transported into the MCU will indirectly result in, like, the next big event, like 5-6 years from now, the massive conclusion to the multiverse arc they've been building up since WandaVision? What if the two universes that combine are the traditional MCU that's been running since 2008 and the Fox X-Men universe that ran from 2000 to 2019? Think about it. It makes sense. It's described as a fish out of water story where Deadpool gets transported into the MCU, where he'll probably interact with the more family-friendly bullshit, PG-13 bullshit that he's not used to, since he's used to being able to cut loose, beat the shit out of people, say the word fuck 13 times over, make as much sex jokes as he wanted to. Well, compared to the MCU, the only films that can even allude to the idea of sex existing being fucking Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and even then, the fucking Mickey Mouse keeps James Gunn on a damn leash, so he doesn't just, like, get off it real quick, which is why I love the Suicide Squad. It was James Gunn at his damn best. But that's not the point. Think about it. After the Fox X-Men universe and the Marvel Cinematic Universe merge into something new, mutants are suddenly brought into the timeline. The events of the majority of the X-Men movies are brought into the MCU, which results in a new timeline and a new universe being created altogether, randomly bringing mutants into existence. Randomly bringing people like Charles Xavier, Magneto, maybe a completely new Wanda Maximoff and Pietro Maximoff. Basically, the traditional mutants we know are randomly brought into the MCU through it. Now, how X-Men 96, or X-Men 97, I think, the animated series that Disney has in plans for Disney Plus will tie into this is beyond me. Maybe it's going to be a specific animated version of the events of the live-action X-Men movies before it inevitably gets merged into the new timeline and a new universe is created. But overall, this theory could be proven wrong, but I just think it makes sense overall, because not only is it an amazing way to introduce mutants into the MCU, not only would it explain Deadpool 3's existence, but also, it just makes sense, since Marvel's been following the comics more lately. So basically, the Ultimate Universe, basically being the Fox X-Men universe, merging into the MCU to create a new timeline with characters from both. So you got fucking Nightcrawler in this timeline, while Tony Stark also simultaneously exists. It just makes sense to me, and I think it's a pretty cool theory. Also, I do have some holes to poke in this theory, like how Days of Future Past would turn out. Because Days of Future Past is a major event in the X-Men, regardless of you're talking about the fucking amazing film from 2014, or you just read the comics. And since that's not how time travel works in the MCU, Days of Future Past will probably be completely erased overall from the timeline created from two realities merging. As well as the events of Logan will probably be erased, because obviously with the amount of characters in the MCU, there's no way in hell there wouldn't be a way for them to prevent something like that happening. So what I think would happen would basically be the events of the original X-Men and the events of X-Men 2. Possibly the events of X-Men Apocalypse, I'm not sure. Maybe Dark Phoenix, probably not, get folded into the MCU timeline in a way where mutants are basically common knowledge and people have grown to just, recognize they exist since they live in a world of superheroes. But overall, that was just my theory video. It's probably going to be proven wrong, but I think it's fun. So overall, if you guys want more theory videos, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and, don't be a fucking douchebag in the comments. I've been Papa Potato. I finally come back with the milk. Peace out.